All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to take apart something you probably think is super basic, something you think you know for sure, your senses. We're going to go on a journey that kicks off with some of the oldest bacteria on Earth and ends right here, with you experiencing reality in a way you have absolutely never thought of before. So let me just ask you this straight up. We're all taught from day one that we have 5 senses. It's just a fact of life, right? But what if that's completely and fundamentally wrong? What if you only have one single master sense that's just learned to play 5 very different, very beautiful instruments? Okay, this right here, this is the core idea we're going to unpack. And I know it's a wild claim, it sounds almost like poetry. But by the time we're done here, you're going to see that it's not poetry at all. It's the actual mechanical reality of how you perceive absolutely everything around you. So here's the classic model we all learn in school. 5 neat, separate boxes for our senses. But what if the reality is so much more connected, so much more profound? What if seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting, what if they're all just incredibly sophisticated, highly specialized versions of touch? Now this master sense, it has a proper scientific name, mechanosensation. And really, it's just a fancy word for a very simple idea. It's the ability of a single cell to feel a physical push or a pull. That's it. And as we're about to see, this one simple ability is the foundation, the bedrock, for every single way life has ever learned to perceive the world. To really find the origin of this sense, we have to rewind the clock. I mean, way, way back, billions of years, before brains, before even a single neuron existed. We've got to look at the simplest forms of life and figure out how on earth they navigated their world. You look at these ancient bacteria, and they seem smart, don't they? They can find food, they can avoid things that are bad for them. It really looks purposeful. But it's an incredible illusion. There's no mind, there's no intelligence at work here. It's just chemistry and physics creating the appearance of a choice. So how do they pull it off? Well, the process they use is surprisingly simple. It's basically a little algorithm. They don't need a map, they just follow one simple rule. Swim for a bit, take a taste of the water. Is it getting better? Great, keep going straight. Is it getting worse? Whoops, time to tumble around and pick a totally new direction. And that's it. That simple mechanical process is enough to make them all end up clustered around food. No brain required. So here's the key takeaway, the really crucial point. The environment itself is doing the thinking. The changing concentration of chemicals in the water is what guides the bacteria's otherwise random movement. It's just a beautiful example of how really complex-looking behavior can come from incredibly simple mechanical rules. So, this simple mechanical sensing was the spark. But the moment life started actively hunting other life, well, that's when things got really interesting. It kicked off a sensory arms race that would literally change the face of the planet forever. To eat and to avoid being eaten, you had to get better at sensing. I mean, look at this timeline. For billions of years, that's billions with a B, sensing was mostly just chemical. And then around 540 million years ago, boom, the Cambrian explosion. Complex vision appears with what seems like breathtaking speed. All of a sudden, the ability to see a predator from a distance or to spot your prey, that advantage was so enormous, it completely changed the evolutionary game. And what's really amazing is how efficient evolution was about this. Life didn't have to reinvent the eye from scratch over and over again. Nope. It used a master control gene, PAX6, that was inherited from a common ancestor. You can think of it like a universal software program for building an eye, a little piece of code that's been copied and pasted across the animal kingdom for more than 500 million years. You know, evolution is the ultimate recycler, and this is one of my favorite facts. The 3 tiniest bones in your entire body, the ones in your middle ear that are letting you hear my voice right this second, they used to be part of the jaw of our ancient reptile ancestors. They were repurposed from chewing to hearing. I mean, how cool is that? It's just a stunning example of taking what you've got and adapting it for a totally new sensory job. Now, this growing ability to sense the world didn't just create better hunters and gatherers. It had another absolutely massive consequence. It allowed single, lonely cells to finally team up, to communicate with each other, and to build something way, way bigger than themselves, to build you. Just take a second and look at that number, 37 trillion. That's how many individual living cells have all agreed to cooperate to make you exist. You're not a single being. You are a walking, talking, thinking colony. And you can really think of your body as a kind of cellular city. Every cell type has a highly specialized job. Your neurons are running the high-speed communications grid. Your blood vessels are the resource highways. Your immune cells are the police force patrolling the borders. Every single one has given up its independence to work for the good of the whole colony. But a massive cooperative like this only works if there are rules. Our bodies run on a kind of social contract that's written in our molecular code, and there are some really harsh penalties for breaking that contract. Any cells that go rogue, that start dividing selfishly, which is what we call cancer, they get hunted down by the immune system. Or, get this, they're programmed to commit suicide for the good of the whole.
So how does this colony of 37 trillion citizens coordinate everything? Well, they do it through chemical messages that act kind of like treaty documents. A molecule like insulin is a system-wide agreement that basically says, okay, everyone, it's time to store sugar. Adrenaline is a treaty that declares a state of emergency, telling everyone to divert all resources to the muscles right now.
Okay, so we've seen how sensing started with simple mechanics and allowed trillions of cells to build you, this incredible cooperative colony. Now it's time to bring it all home. Let's go back to that central claim and prove it. How are all of your senses really just a form of touch? So let's start with vision. It seems like the most remote, non-contact sense we have, right? But it's not. A photon, a tiny physical particle of light, travels across the vastness of space, and it physically strikes a molecule in your retina. That impact, that tiny collision, forces the molecule to bend and physically change its shape. That mechanical deformation is the first domino that kicks off the entire chain of events you experience as sight. Light is literally physically touching your eye. And once you see it there, you start to see it everywhere. Hearing, that's just the physical push of vibrating air molecules against tiny little hairs in your ear. Smell and taste, that's just different molecules physically locking into receptors, changing their shape, just like a key turning in a lock. It's all mechanosensation. It is all, at its core, touch. The implication here is, well, it's pretty stunning. Every single thing you perceive about the world, every sight, every sound, every smell, is the result of the outside world making direct physical mechanical contact with your body. Your perception is never separate from the world. It's part of it. So, the big takeaway is this. Evolution didn't invent 5 different ways of sensing the world from scratch. It took one, this basic sense of touch, and it spent billions of years honing it, refining it into these incredible specializations. Some are designed to detect the touch of photons from distant stars. Others are designed to detect the touch of molecules floating on the wind. You are in constant, direct, physical contact with everything you perceive. And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending question to think about. If you are really a cooperative colony of 37 trillion individual cells, and your entire experience of reality is built from the simple act of being physically touched by the universe, then where in all of that is the single entity you call you? That's something to chew on.